Hello, I'm Laura Stokely. I'm here to talk a little bit about the culture of Troy, Alabama, and specifically on entrepreneurship. I'm here with Ricardo Valencia, who his family actually owned Valencia's Mexican restaurant here in Troy for a few years. So tell me a little bit about your part in Valencia's.
Yeah, so it started off as my dad's business. It was just a store at first. It wasn't anything big. He just bought it as a tiny little convenience store, and then he kind of saw opportunity for a project there. And he started working with my mom and his brother, my uncle, and we started cooking up food. And at first it was just, on the weekends we'd have food. We'd have, kind of homemade Mexican food. And then my dad saw that there's a real market for this, especially in Troy, where at the time there were like 2 Mexican restaurants and there wasn't really, too much of a competition. And so he saw a way for him to be able to make some money by actually making a tiny little restaurant, especially if it was just homemade food, nothing too spectacular. It wasn't going to be a big, alcohol-driven place. And so he got together with our family got together, and I started working there when I was 16, so since high school. And when I graduated was when we turned it into a full-blown restaurant, and we separated the store from the restaurant. And then at that point, I was just kind of starting out just as a server, and I really enjoyed that because it was a lot more talking to customers, and we brought in actually a huge clientele was American, which I think that was a big surprise for us. We didn't realize just how much we would cater towards Americans, and it was really nice. I really enjoyed it.
Okay, and can you tell me a little bit about how it began as kind of a smaller organization or store more than a restaurant, and how it kind of grew into that restaurant business as Troy also progressed?
Sure. So I know I made it sound like it was like a natural progression of like store made food and then make it a restaurant. It was absolutely not that. Every time it was very much a risk, and we knew it was a risk going into it from the start, from picking it up as a store, because it's at the time Troy, it had a good Hispanic culture. It didn't have a big consumer Hispanic culture because of so many surrounding cities. Dothan has a huge Hispanic culture, and they're way bigger than Troy. Montgomery, even Enterprise, all of them way bigger cities. They have so much more to offer for Hispanic culture. But we kind of took a shot in the dark, and when my dad purchased a store, he actually purchased it from the family that owns Rodeos. Purchased it from them, and my dad, I think, just has a knack for entrepreneurship. I don't think he realizes just how much of it he had, and so a lot of it has to do with luck. A lot of it had to do with my dad having a vision and then just going through with it. So when we started off as a store and we started, building this sort of rapport. That's another important thing for small businesses is what I've seen from being a part of one for such a long time is building that rapport is what's going to get you far in small businesses. And so he opened it up, he got it going. My mom started getting involved. My uncle saw an opportunity there, he got involved. Once we had that kind of progression of like, all right, let's put a lot of time, money, and energy into turning it into a restaurant, I think that's kind of where it started taking off.
Okay, and can you tell me a little bit about how important entrepreneurship and locally owned businesses is to Troy's community?
Yeah, so here's how I'll say it. We didn't know just how important it was until after we sold it. I would go places, sure, and people would like recognize me from Valencia's, and we had this charm about Valencia's where it was like a hole in a wall. And I think most small businesses that should be their goal. Their goal, unless they just want to have this whole chain thing, but if you are looking to open a small business and keep a small business, getting that vibe of being a small hole in the wall is what's going to take you far. Because you're not going to be able to compete against all these other big chain restaurants. And so the importance of it, for us, we realized it, or at least I personally realized it, once we closed Valencia's. I started college, I started going to school, and I was going to school, there were a bunch of strangers, and there were so many people who, when they would just, hear my last name, they would come up to me, they would say, what happened to Valencia's? And take in mind, when I worked there, I didn't really, I tried to make, obviously have like that customer experience and whatnot, but I never really paid too much attention to it until afterwards. And seeing that kind of made us realize how much it's necessary for small businesses to have, because whatever may be Hispanic, Italian, there's a subculture of hole in a wall, and if you're somebody who grew up in that place, you want to have those places. You want to have those like, oh, these are our hidden gems. Or if you're somebody who just moved there, you're kind of always looking for like, yeah, we have the big things back where I come from. I'm in a new place. I want to have those small little experiences that I can only have those moments. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of where we thrive, and that's where the importance of small businesses are, is those small moments.
And for my last question, do you think it is important for the whole city of Troy to keep these locally owned businesses, or do you think that chain restaurants are really what's going to make Troy better?
I think if I'm being honest, small businesses make Troy better. Yes, I think if they make anywhere better. I think it falls more on small business owners and less on Troy. Troy can be better and try to help them. They can only take them so far. We can only stay open for so long. I mean, like I said, we've had people come up to me and almost beg us to reopen. But there are other reasons that small businesses close down, other than just like what the help that we're getting from Troy is, or what the help from the city is, because the help is out there. It is there, especially. I mean, when COVID happened, we were so afraid that we were going to lose our business, because that was kind of when we were at our peak. Was before COVID, and then COVID happened, and we were so afraid. The city helped us out a lot, and they're there for us. And there's so many resources that we didn't even need to use. There are so many that they offered us that we didn't need to use. Now, that being said, I still think that the city, what they're doing is great with small businesses. I still think that the small business owner, it's up to them. It's up to them to rely on the city. And if the city, keeps seeing all these small business owners being like, hey, we need your help, they're going to be there to give it. But if they keep seeing the small business owners are not really going for it, not really wanting it, why would they? Why would they give a helping hand to somebody who's not reaching out for one?
Okay, well, is there anything else you'd like to add before finishing this up?
Yeah, unfortunately, Valencia's is not coming back in Troy. We've talked about bringing it back. It's not going to happen. But my mom does have one. We opened one up in Luverne, which is just 30 minutes away from us. It's not that far, and it's great food. It's a much bigger store, and we went for a food truck rather than just like an establishment.
What's it called?
It's just called Mexican of Luverne.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for listening.